when I seen the armed men come in, you know, it was specifically for me. It was specifically for me and of course my wife. And when I seen them come into the sanctuary with their guns, I told everybody, get out.
Arrests have been made in connection with the armed robbery of Bishop Lamor Whitehead out in New York. Now, this is actually a story we covered on a previous Sidebar. The pastor and his wife were held up during a live stream of the pastor's sermon, with the suspect stealing $1 million in jewelry.
Yo. All right. Yo, all right. They took all of my wife's jewelry and took all of my jewelry. And then they left. However, these young men didn't know that cameras were on.
Well, two suspects have been detained out in Brooklyn, Juwan Anderson and Saquon Pollock, both 23 years old. They were located using video and electronic tracking, and they now face federal robbery charges. It's actually interesting because they were charged under the U.S. Hobbs Act. This criminalizes robbery and extortion under interstate commerce. That applies here because some of the stolen items were purchased with out-of-state donations. Now, it's been reported that investigators are also currently searching for a third suspect as well. And this becomes all the more important because there were rumors that Bishop Whitehead had staged the crime, that he was the mastermind behind all of this. So you can see that these arrests are a possible form of vindication. I'm joined right now by a very special guest, Bishop Whitehead's attorney, Dawn Florio, who practices in the criminal defense space, but has expanded into entertainment and sports law as well. Dawn, good to have you here on Sidebar. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
So, what's the reaction of your client given this news?
So he is beyond happy because this sort of explains to the world that he did not do this for insurance fraud, that he's not a scammer, that as he said in the press conference yesterday, he's really a victim. And, he's not one of these people that is just trying to, pull the wool over people's eyes. Like, he was truly traumatized by this whole event.
Was he surprised with the first of all, how widespread this video became and how much attention it got, not just here in New York, but across the country, and just the reaction that he was getting from it?
So, it's just so egregious that you could be in prayer, you feel safe when you go to church, right? And then this happens. So, it went viral because you can't even, you're not even safe when you're trying to just pray to God. So it's a situation where they had one narrative and a lot of people were just really thinking that he was part of it, and people were saying that it was fake because there was an individual towards the end of the video where he didn't move. Well, everyone knows that the best thing to do when people come with guns or you're being robbed is not to make any sudden movements. But if you make sudden movements, you can get shot. So everyone had their own sort of narrative of what happened. Now, the fact that they did arrest people and the fact that it was taken federally just shows how serious this was and how traumatizing it was and how deadly it could have been if they would have shot the people in the church.
Yeah, and thankfully that didn't happen. My understanding is he attended the court appearance, the first court appearance of these suspects. Am I right about that? Why did he do that?
So every victim has a right to go to the court appearance, and we went together. And I think he wanted to see who robbed him, who committed this heinous act. And he looked at them, and one of the individuals really was staring him down, trying to intimidate him, and he absolutely did not know any of them. And he's the type of person who gets out in the community. He's really hands-on. And one of the things he had said is that, I always wear my jewelry. Why not rob me outside? Why do you have to come in to the church where there's mothers, where there's women? And because, basically we this we're vulnerable here. So it was so crazy how this situation happened. Just really sad.
Yeah, especially if they, which would be surprising, they didn't know it was live streamed and there was video of this happening. Now, my understanding again is when he walked into court, your client, he had said that he forgives them. Can you speak about that? Because I was wondering if he would like to say something to them. Does he want to speak to them if he has the opportunity to talk to them and learn about why they did this and maybe actually forgive them, like he said? Does he want to have an opportunity to speak with them?
So like when people do you wrong, you may forgive, but you never forget. So it's I definitely know that he wants the third person apprehended, and I definitely know that he would like to know why you did this, like to the church. Like listen, everyone is a target, especially people who wear jewelry. We know that this very same day, P&B rocks. Killers were apprehended. He wore jewelry. He was doing what people normally do, like eating with his girl, and he was attacked. He was a target because he wore jewelry. We live in a very dangerous world today. That we're sort of and he feels that he is looked upon as just because he is a bishop and he has a church, why can't he dress the way he wants? Why can't he wear the jewelry he wants to wear? He's a human being and he has other businesses, right? And why should we be hampered because people are vicious and people are violent and people want to rob from us? No, like of course you have to take precautions, and now people are more vigilant, and if they do wear jewelry, maybe they'll have a bodyguard, or they won't go out by themselves. They'll be take more precautions. But it's just a sad state that we have to live in this particular world. But yes, he would absolutely love to ask them, why would you do this to church? Like if you want to rob me outside in the street. Don't do it in the sanctity of my church.
But just to follow up on that, does he want to change his lifestyle in any which way? So look, I think on one hand, you don't want to change what you're doing, but on the other hand, you have to imagine that maybe they target him because they saw all of this. So maybe he covers things up. Maybe you said, has a bodyguard. Is Bishop Whitehead going to change his lifestyle or what he does in any way, given what has just happened?
So I don't think he's going to change who he is and wear jewelry and wear nice things if that's what he wants to do. But absolutely, he's going to take better precautions with respect to when he goes outside. He's going to have a bodyguard. He's going to be careful and more diligent about his surroundings. But who would ever think that you would get robbed in your own church?
Yeah, I've never seen anything like this before. Hopefully I never see it again. I do want to ask you what justice means for Bishop Whitehead. He's talked about that he's looking for justice. It's my understanding that it's possible these suspects might already be in plea deal negotiations, working with the government. Maybe they are trying to work with the government to identify the third suspect. What would be justice for your client here if there's a situation, and we already know that one of the suspects, there was a bond was set at $50,000. I don't think he's made that yet, but the idea that he could be out, or these people, or these suspects could be out sooner, or they might get a more lenient sentence. What would justice be for your client?
So justice would be to take responsibility for their actions, to be held accountable. I don't think he really cares about jail time or anything like that. And also, he would like to get his jewelry back.
That's fair. That's fair. And you talked about the response from critics. I was reading about it that, and correct me if I'm wrong, that he's filed a pair of $20 million lawsuits against social media critics, given what has happened. Can you tell us where that's at?
I don't really know what's going on with respect to that, but I think that everyone on social media, everyone goes crazy. Everyone has an opinion, and I think that like this has damaged him so much, right? Because it has brought him so much attention. Like he really went viral. Like people go viral, but this is viral. Like not only in New York, but like internationally, worldwide. Everyone knows about the bishop. Everyone calls him the bling bling bishop. But at the end of the day, you know what? Like no one talks about all the good that he does, like the $25,000 that he just gave away, to schools and to children. No one talks about all those good things. So just because you wear jewelry and just because you wear expensive suits doesn't mean that you deserve to be robbed and to be a victim.
Yeah, I mean, you've talked about him being a very public figure, and he's gotten a lot of notoriety since this has happened. Obviously, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about the incident that happened just a couple of weeks ago, where he was handcuffed for allegedly attacking a woman. There were charges that were dropped. Can you speak about what that was about and how your client's doing now?
So basically, that lady did it for media attention. In fact, when she went downstairs, she's like, "Oh my God, we're going viral! We're going viral!" It was basically a setup. She went into the church and she was acting crazy, and then she made a beeline to the bishop's wife and the infant baby, and then he basically tried to stop her. He didn't hit her or choke her. He just basically tried to walk her out of the way of his wife and his child. And, thank God he had the live streaming the video. The police saw everything, and basically they wanted to charge her. And I think they did charge her, and he was exonerated.
Dawn, before I let you go, you mentioned something that he wants his items back. Are you saying that when these suspects were arrested, they weren't in possession of his Rolex watch or anything else that was taken? It wasn't on them?
I'm not aware of that. And he hasn't even told me that, but I was just speaking on his behalf. He has never mentioned that he wants his jewelry back, but I'm saying if someone robbed, all my jewelry, definitely I would want that back. That's justice for me, make the victim whole.
Well, Miss Florio, we will continue to follow this case because I've never seen anything like it. I really haven't. And these two suspects have been arrested. We'll see what happens with the third. And hopefully we'll be able to stay in touch as this case progresses. But Dawn Florio, thank you for taking the time and coming on Sidebar.
Appreciate it.
And thanks everybody for joining us here on Sidebar. Please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jesse Weber. Speak to you next time.